Sup PYNP? How's everyone doing? Good? Good? Good. What's this? Got a new fro. Oh yeah. Got my hair trimmed. New hairdresser. Like it? I like it. I think it's alright. Cool. Anyway, moving on. What's this video gonna be about? It's gonna be about complex carbs versus simple carbs. Ooh, it's gonna be good! Right, so let's get down to it, shall we? Right, now, why do people like complex carbs? Let's start with that. Why do people like complex carbs? Well, complex carbohydrates tend to be more nutrient dense. They tend to have more vitamins. That's why I said vitamins. I'm from the UK. I don't say vitamins, I say vitamins. Anyway, they have more vitamins, they have more minerals, they can have some more fiber, which helps you stay full. They have slow release energy, which provides you with energy for throughout the day. So they're all good things. I'm a fan of complex carbs. I like them. Alright, I like brown bread. I have brown bread. I like brown rice. I like sweet potatoes. I like whole grain cereals. You know, I like complex carbs. I get it. They're good for you and they have their benefits. Cool. So why do people not like simple carbs then? Well, simple carbs, sugars, tend to be associated with processed, high fat, high calorie, micronutrient lacking foods. Yeah, all the tasty stuff. Yeah, they tend to be associated with that, and therefore they get a bad rep. But guess what? You can find simple sugars sources with good nutrients and things like that. What about your fruits? What about your vegetables? Simple sugars, and they got plenty of vitamins and minerals. What about your white potatoes and white rice and things like that? You know, they're full of minerals. You know, you can find simple sugars with nutritional benefits. As simple as. And I think that simple sugars are getting such a bad rep lately, and it's because of two things: because of the nutrients thing and the fact that they're constantly related to bad foods, but also because of all the bullshit about insulin and insulin spikes, and there's so much shit about insulin now, overcomplicating everything. So I'm going to get into that now. I'm going to get into insulin. I'm going to get into I'm going to break it down nice and simple for you, but I'm going to get into why you should just stop worrying about it, okay? Alright, there's two things with insulin, right? First of all, people say, you shouldn't eat sugar because that causes insulin spikes and that can cause diabetes. Right, diabetes isn't caused by eating too much sugar. Type 1 diabetes is genetic and its trigger is unknown. Type 2 diabetes can be caused by lifestyle and can be caused by being overweight. That's not necessarily directly connected to your sugar intake. If you're overweight, you can be eating too much fat, you can be eating too much protein, you can be eating too much sugars. Anything that pushes you above your calorie maintenance. Basically, you're probably eating too much of everything, alright? And you become overweight. So that means that your body can't produce enough insulin to support your body needs. So basically you're overweight, so that means your body has to produce more insulin anyway. And because you have a lot more fat cells than an average person, and fat cells aren't very good at absorbing nutrients like glucose, and so that means that your body has to produce even more insulin because it's not very efficient at doing its job, and basically means that your body can't produce enough insulin to keep up with you, and then you become diabetic. So it's not directly related to sugar, it's just being overweight. Alright, so if you are hitting your calorie goals, if you're hitting your macronutrient goals, you're not going to suddenly become diabetic, alright, because you're eating more sugar than the other guy. So don't worry about that. Let's lay that to rest right now. The diabetes things, throw it out the window. Doesn't matter, okay? Doesn't matter. So the other thing about insulin spikes, people are saying, you don't want to be eating sugar because that causes insulin spikes, and a high insulin spike will cause fat gain. Right. Let's talk about carbohydrates, simple and complex carbohydrates. A simple carbohydrate is a sugar, simple sugar like that, okay? I'm not going to get all complex or anything, I'll break it down for you, visualize, make it simple, okay? So this is a sugar, okay? Let's think about a bar of chocolate, yeah? And let's say it's a fat-free bar of chocolate, so all there's in there is sugars, alright? And these sugars, they're not binded anyway, they're just grouped together, these simple sugars, and they go into your stomach, they get metabolized and digested in your system, and they get broken down, metabolized, and the sugars are released. And because they're simple sugars and they're non-bonded, that means they get released very quickly, and they go into the bloodstream. That means insulin is produced quite quickly, and insulin carries the sugars into around your body, into your tissues like your muscles and your liver, things like that. Okay, but a complex carb are simple sugars, but they're binded. All right, they're binded together. So when you eat them, when you digest them, they take longer to be metabolized because their bonds need to be broken down. And slowly their bonds do get broken down. They get turned into simple sugars in the end anyway. They get turned into glucose, and then they are fed into the bloodstream by insulin. But it's much slower because it's a complex carb, because it takes time to be broken down. Sugars are released much slower, and that means insulin is released much slower. And so that's why people tend to like complex carbs more, because the insulin spike will not be as great. All right. And they think that if you eat simple carbs and you get that spike of insulin, that means that your insulin will carry all the nutrients, including sugars, your amino acids from your proteins, including your fats, and will draw those fats into your muscles, into your bodily tissues, and they'll be stored. And they'll be stored as fat, and they won't get used, and you'll just end up putting on weight. Well, guess what? If you are in a calorie maintenance or lower, or a calorie deficit, you're simply not going to put on weight, okay? You're either going to lose weight or you're going to maintain, all right? Any nutrients that are stored, whether they be fat, whether they be sugars, all right? Anything that is stored, if you're in a deficit or you're in a maintenance, they will be used. Your body's not getting energy from some sort of magical place and magically using energy from somewhere else and thinking, I like those fat molecules, I'm going to keep the fat cells, I like the fat cells, I'll just use this energy over here. No, they use the energy that you give it, okay? If you are eating less than your body needs, then it will use the stores, okay? Anything that your insulin stores will be used. Now, if you're on a bulk, guess what? You're on a bulk, all right? You're gonna put on some weight, okay? Bulking is great for muscle gain because, you know, it takes the pressure off and allows your fats and your proteins to be more prioritized to growth and recovery and repair, okay? And because you're in maybe, 500 calories excess surplus, you're gonna put on some weight. It's just how it is, 500 calories isn't that much a day. You won't suddenly become obese, and the insulin spikes won't suddenly make you really fat. The insulin spikes aren't going to make you fat. The reason you're going to put on a little bit more weight is because you're in a calorie surplus. That is it, basically, and you can't get away with that. Sure you can. You can know your body in and out. You can know your calorie maintenance to a T. You can know your body's reaction to proteins, carbs and fats. You can know them to a T, and of course you could probably, if you know well enough and you do it properly, you can stay pretty lean while bulking. But it will generally take a bit longer. But if you know your body and you know how your body reacts to certain nutrients and macros, then you can stay pretty lean while bulking. But if you want to do it the normal way and just bulk through winter, add a few more calories, who cares if you can't quite see your obliques? Who cares if you can't quite see your bottom two abs? You're building muscle and you're building strength. And then when the summer comes and when spring comes, then it's time to cut down and get shredded, alright? But if you're on a bulk, you're on a bulk. And the insulin spikes aren't going to make you put on weight. It's the simple fact that you're eating more than you need, and that is it. So insulin spikes, you don't have to worry about them so much. People like to think they can control insulin. Like, insulin's a very powerful hormone, and I think it's very naive to think that we can control insulin like we think we can. I mean, you see these articles about how to control insulin and be the insulin master and, stunt insulin and then, encourage insulin. So encourage insulin post-workout and stunt insulin any time during the day, any other time. But you're not going to be able to control your insulin like that. You're just not. I mean, people like to take in simple sugars post-workout to increase their insulin, to increase insulin, so they transport nutrients, proteins around the body. more efficiently post-workout. But you know what, guys? It really doesn't matter. If you drink a whey protein after your workout, your whey will cause a good enough insulin spike to transport those amino acids around your body. If you don't eat straight after your workout, fine, just get your meal in, you know, a few hours later. Your body will still synthesize and utilize those proteins, utilize those carbs, utilize those fats in the same way, and insulin spikes are gonna happen. Carbs cause insulin spikes, proteins can cause insulin spikes, even fats can cause insulin spikes. There's no getting around it. You don't have to worry about it even. It doesn't matter. If you're in a calorie deficit or calorie maintenance, you're not going to put on fat. If you're on a bulk, you might put on a bit of fat, but you're on a bulk. You don't have to worry about insulin spikes anymore. Stop it. It doesn't matter. Alright? So this is the thing where I'm getting at with complex carbs versus simple carbs. People are afraid of simple carbs because of this insulin spike thing, when really you don't have to be worried about it. If you want to have a chocolate bar or anything like that, have a chocolate bar. Just make it meet your make it fit your macros, right? If it fits your macros, it's okay. It will be fine. Sorry, my flatmates are running about upstairs. Anyway, yeah, if you want a chocolate bar, it's fine. Just make it meet your macros. It's fine. At the end of the day, if you're getting good sources of micronutrients from your other whole food sources, you're getting adequate amount of proteins, you're getting adequate amount of fats, and let's say your carbs are split 50-50 with complex and simple, you should be all right. If you're hitting your calorie goals, hitting your macro goals, and you're getting a good amount of nutrients from other food sources, you're gonna be all right. Me personally, I like to have Heinz ketchup on my eggs. Simple sugar. So what? I make it fit in. I like to have a chocolate bar. So what? I fit it in. You know, I like to eat quite a bit of fruit. You know, the other day I had a friend say, "Oh man, I'm finding it really hard to keep my sugars down, and all I want to do is eat some more fruit." What the fuck? My friend was saying that he was scared to eat fruit because of his sugars going too high. That is how bad it's getting now. But yeah, that is my rant over. Don't be afraid of simple carbohydrates. They're perfectly fine in moderation as long as you're getting good quality nutrition from other food sources. You don't have to worry about your insulin spikes. If you're on a calorie maintenance or calorie deficit, you're not going to store fat. If you're on a bulk, you're on a bulk and you're going to store some fat, but you know, just get shredded for next summer. You're not going to be storing energy for no reason. So that's it. Don't be so strict with yourself. And that's it. That's it. That's it. That's it. So that.